And welcome back to the program. Going to be talking about some special events coming up out at Charlotte Motor Speedway in April. We're joined in the studio by a couple of special guests who've been here before to tell us about some of the activities. Brad Bowling is here along with Holly Stoner from the Speedway. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Woody.
I guess the first thing we need to talk about, time-wise, Brad, is AutoFair, Food Line AutoFair, coming up this week.
That's true. It's April 3 through 6. It starts this Thursday and runs through Sunday. The hours for the AutoFair, and of course I'm sure we'll repeat these many times during the show. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and goes till 6 o'clock in the evenings, except on Sunday, the last day of the AutoFair. It starts at 8, ends up at 4 o'clock with our best of show presentations for the car clubs.
And it's, I was looking at some of the material you guys sent over, and well, it looks like, again, it's spilling out over the edges of the speedway, and it's just tremendous.
It is. I think about a third of the AutoFair right now takes place outside of the grounds of the oval itself, and it is just tremendous. We've got a lot of stuff that you can see. You can come to AutoFair and see for free. That, you know, some of that material that is outside, some smaller car shows. We have on Saturday the sheriff's competition that takes place among North Carolina County sheriff's offices every year or every spring at AutoFair, and that's always pretty popular. But yeah, the bulk of it is concentrated inside the speedway itself, and that'll include this year 7,000 vendor spaces for collector car parts, collector cars themselves. We'll probably have around 3,000 cars on the grounds for sale at any given time. It's just an amazing, huge collection of excitement for automotive enthusiasts.
Right. And a little bit later on in the month, Holly, a relatively new event out at Charlotte. Right. The motorcycles come back. You tried it last year. It was a big success, even though Mother Nature didn't cooperate quite as well. But it's going to come back again, and you've got to be expecting bigger and better things.
Yes, we are. The Supercross rolls back into town Saturday night, April 19th, and Jeremy McGrath and all the other guys will be coming in to tackle again. It's the longest, most challenging course on the series, and this year, you know, last year was our inaugural event out at the Speedway. Supercross has raced in Charlotte before, but last year was the first time at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we've learned a few things from that experience, and we're going to move the course actually closer to the spectators, moving it off of pit road, and it'll all be located on the front straightaway, so the action will be right there, right in front of the fans, and it's going to be fast and furious, and it'll be a great time.
Tell us a little bit about the background of Supercross. What made the decision to do that? Because everybody associates Charlotte Motor Speedway with cars, stock car racing. Over the years, of course, there have been a lot of different events out at Charlotte, but I guess no one had really thought of Charlotte in conjunction with motorcycles until last year.
Well, I think it's just, you know, Humpy is great about bringing new and exciting events into the Speedway, and you know that our Speedway is used about 300 days out of the year, and that it's just another way to give racing fans another thing to come see. Just like, you know, we're bringing the IRL cars this year in July, and it was just another way to present something different to the motorsports fans here in the Carolinas and all around the area. And also the race had been held down at the downtown. Yeah. And it was moved out here because of the space. We have so much more space. They were full as far as the fan capacity went, and it just pretty much was a logical thing to do as the sport grew, to bring it out to a place where they could expand the course and we could fit more people in there.
We're going to be putting a phone number on the screen now for folks who'd like a little more information about some of the events we're going to be talking about. You can call the Charlotte Motor Speedway at 455-3200 to find out more. But first and foremost, Brad, time-wise is AutoFair. It all kicks off Thursday, and you've got a special event to kick things off, right?
Right. 10:30 in the morning on Thursday, we're going to unveil the top secret Corvette that's come to Charlotte for the AutoFair. We have a $20 million display of Corvettes that will be in the pavilion, which a lot of people who've been to AutoFair before know is the enormous white tent that'll be on pit road during AutoFair. And right at the center of that will be the SERV 3 Corvette, which is SERV stands for Chevrolet Engineering Research Vehicle. This is the third in a series of cars that Chevrolet Motor Division has produced over the years. It's a prototype Corvette, but it takes a very forward look into what the Corvette might be in, say, 10 to 15 years. It's got a carbon fiber body. It's got a twin turbocharged 350 cubic inch V8. It's got a lot of really high-tech, unusual features about it that Corvette fans probably won't recognize on their own car. In fact, you don't see in production anywhere right now, including twin brake rotors on each wheel. It's a mid-mounted engine, which you don't see on a lot of production cars these days. It's got a 6-speed automatic transmission, which, of course, it had to cost Chevy a few bucks to make one of those, because they're not just sitting around at the CarQuest dealer or anything. That we're going to show off at 10:30 in the morning. By 11, we're going to start our autograph session with some of the guys that sort of tie into another theme we've got at AutoFair this year, which is the history of stock car racing. And the autograph session will have Tim Flock, one of the legends of stock car racing around here, and Bobby Allison. In addition to those two, we're going to have...
Going to get some other sports connections involved.
Right, we are. And of course the mascots, we've got Lugnut coming, Chubby from the Checkers.
And some of the Carolina Panthers involved, right?
And some of the Carolina Panthers, Frank
Garcia.
Frank Garcia. There you go, thank you very much. And that's just the kickoff for the event. All 4 days are huge. If you're in the local area and you can get out there Friday or Thursday or Friday, that's a good time to come out. Saturday's our big day. That's when the crowds really get out there, and everybody just has a good time. But there's not a bad day for AutoFair. Anytime you come out there, you're going to find something that you really want to take home with you.
Now, most of the folks I've talked to who've been there year after year say you really can't do it justice in one day. Do you find a lot of people coming back for 2 days or even 3? Oh,
definitely. And like I say, I would recommend more than 1 day for sure that you plan it. There's more there than you can possibly see in the 4 days. I mean, let's just put it that way. Yeah. It's just like with our race time, the Speedway becomes a fair-sized city for those 4 days, and it'd be like trying to walk around Charlotte itself in 4 days and see everything there is.
Now, you mentioned the history of stock car racing. Give us a little more detail about what's going to be involved there. I was looking at some of the pictures from earlier, and it's going to be some of the cars that folks have grown up with as stock car racing has grown up.
Right. You'll see, I don't want to give away too much on that, but you'll see a lot of cars that were raced by some of the big names. They're out there in Winston Cup today, or the generation that came before them. We've got cars going all the way back to the 30s. We've got a 51 Hudson Hornet that is a really unusual story. It was raced around here back in the 60s in North Carolina at small tracks, and it's being raced today by the same gentleman who modified it back then and took it racing. And so we've got about a dozen cars there to come out and look at that really kind of show you the evolution of the sport.
All right. We've got just about 1 minute before we take a break here, Brad, but also one of the big events this year is the Camaro's having an anniversary, right?
That's true. The Chevrolet's Camaro came out in 1967. This is the 30th anniversary for it, and we're going to have a display that really shows off the evolution of that vehicle as well. And we've got about a dozen cars. Everybody loves the Camaro. It's one of Chevrolet's most popular models ever, and in fact, it's one of their longest-running nameplates now. It and the Corvette together. And we're going to have some pretty nice examples out there for people to come see. You don't see a lot of nice older Camaros on the road so much because people have put a lot of money into them. They keep them inside,
right.
But we're going to have them out there on display.
We'll take a quick time out now. When we come back, we'll talk more about AutoFair. We'll also fill you in on some more of the details about the Supercross event coming up out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And toward the end of our program, we'll give you a sneak peek at a new vehicle that kind of goes along with Legends cars. It's called Bandolero. We'll do all that when we come back. Stay with us.
The important thing about this man are not his hands, even though he styles supermodels, nor his talent, even though he's one of the most creative hairstylists in the world. What's really important is his heart. He's a volunteer for Look Good, Feel Better, a free program that helps women undergoing cancer treatment recover their self-esteem and confidence. It's in your hands. You too can give with your heart. To become a volunteer or learn more about Look Good, Feel Better, call 1-800-395-LOOK.
We want to see our children succeed. But setting easy goals for our kids creates the toughest obstacle they'll ever face. Because succeeding in the real world isn't easy. Help the effort to raise standards in America's public schools. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
I'll be all right. I'll just smoke a little weed here and there, you know. I told her, Ma, don't worry about it. I'll be okay. I only smoke weed once in a while, you know. I told her, oh, well, a lot of my friends, yeah, they're the problem ones, not me. I'm not like them, Ma. I just hang out with them because they're cool. That's why I always thought, you know, that I wasn't as bad. I never thought that I was just like them, or ever gonna be like them. After a while, I became just, you know, just like them or worse.
Welcome back to Cabarrus this week, talking about some of the events coming up during April out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Brad, when we left talking about AutoFair, one of the things that seems to draw a lot of the people more and more, the Legends cars, and they're going to be racing again, right?
Right. Saturday night, starting at 6:30, we'll be having practice qualifying and a main feature as well there. These are very popular cars, especially in this area. We have a lot of local drivers that'll be here. You know, showing what they've learned over the winter time and in the off season, and this is really sort of a practice run for us putting on the event, because we have our summer shootouts, which of course take place June through August every Tuesday night out at the Speedway. So we're really looking forward to getting these cars back out and hearing those four-cylinder motors rev up out there again.
Now the tickets are a little bit of a combination, or you can just go to Legends if that's what you want, right?
Right. If you paid your $7 to get into AutoFair during the day on Saturday, that ticket is also good for Legends that night. If for some reason you don't come to AutoFair on Saturday, you can pay $5 to get in Saturday night, 6:30, at the 5th Mile Speedway, what we call the Outback Speedway, behind the big oval.
Okay. And now, Holly, let's turn our attention to the motorcycles again. One of the most interesting things you mentioned when we touched on it a moment ago was moving the actual course closer to the fans. Last year, it went all the way down and round Pit Road, right? And that's going to be, you're not going to go that far this time?
No.
How's that going to work?
Well, what we're going to do is just kind of shift the whole thing, and it's still going to be on the front straightaway, but it's just not going to go back as far as Pit Road. Now, it's still going to be the longest course, and it's still going to be pretty much as long as it was last year, but they're just going to, I guess, kind of make it skinnier, so where, you know, the hairpin turns are shorter, and they're going to be coming back down around the front straightaway. It's going to extend from the end of turn 4 all the way down into the entrance of the road course. Wow. And, you know, still the same amount of jumps. It's still going to be as exciting. It's just going to be actually closer to the fans. And that's also going to help. I was talking with Roy Jansen from Pace, and he's the, you know, helps design the courses, and it's going to help also with the lighting. Even though we have the world-class lighting at the Speedway, some of the areas on Pit Road, because the lights are lower than they are, you know, coming off the Smith Tower, it was harder to see back there for the riders as well as the fans. But this year, it's all going to be taken care of, and it's going to be great.
Now this year it's a little bit different as well, right? In that it's going to be a 2-day event. Folks can come out on Friday before the event. And what's happening with that?
Actually, we had this last year. We tried it. I think at all the other Supercross venues where they travel to, you know, the Jeremy McGrath and whoever will go to the Suzuki dealers, and the Jeff Emmicks will go to the Kawasaki dealers, and fans of, you know, can go to those dealerships and visit with the riders and get autographs. At Charlotte last year, we just had all the riders stay at the Speedway and had all the fans come there, and they actually the motorcycle guys used the same kind of big transporters that the Winston Cup guys use, and they set those up, and all of the top riders are there available to give autographs and talk to the fans. And then we also have displays from the top factory teams as well as sponsors of the series set up in the Winston Cup garage area. So it really is a neat thing, and it's free, no charge at all to the public, so people can come out between 6 and 9 on the Friday night, and that's the 18th, before the event, and kind of get up close and personal with their favorite riders.
Now, Jeremy McGrath is pretty much the name in motorcycle supercross racing, but the local favorite's got to be Damon Bradshaw, racing at his hometown track, so to speak.
It is, and only Damon kind of threw us a curve this year, and he's actually up and moved to Idaho. So even though he still is our hometown rider because he's from Charlotte originally, he's no longer a resident. I think he used to live in Morrisville, and he's kind of moved away. So actually our closest in proximity now is Larry Ward. He lives in Florence, South Carolina.
And he finished second last year,
yeah,
right?
he sure did. That was his highest finish of the whole season last year. So I've already talked to him, and he's looking forward to coming back to Charlotte. And he's been riding real consistent this year, and he's in battling with McGrath. He's in third, Jeremy McGrath's in second. So.
One more time, give us the details on the times and dates that folks need to be aware of for Supercross.
Okay. Friday night is the Friday Night Expo, and the gates will be open from 6 to 9 at the Speedway, and people can come out, and there's food and, you know, displays and all the riders there. And then on Saturday, the gates open at 6, and primary racing starts at 7:30. And there's one other thing. There's also an early entry pass that people who already have tickets can purchase at the Speedway on Saturday, and that allows them to get in the pit area during practice and qualifying heats Saturday afternoon.
Behind the scenes kind of
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Brad, let's shift again back to AutoFair, and one more time for the folks, run through the times and dates they need to be aware of there.
Yeah, it's this Thursday through Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 in the evening, except on Sundays when it's 8 to 4. Okay. And $7 to get in, $4 for parking.
All right. Got a little clip coming up here, Brad, about the Bandolero cars. This is from a press conference a couple of weeks ago out at Charlotte. As we go into the piece, give us just a quick little synopsis of what we're talking about here. Okay, the Bandolero is a bridge between go-karting and legends racing. At least that's the way Humpy Wheeler and Elliott Forbes Robinson envisioned it. It combines a lot of features of both, and it's a good stepping stone for someone to go from karts to the Bandolero now onto legends and other forms of racing if they're really serious about competing. It sells for under $7,000, and I think the video will probably show everything that you need to know about it. Okay, let's take a look out at Charlotte Motor Speedway, introducing the Bandolero.
About 5 years ago, brought people together. It wasn't nearly the size of group that we have here today to introduce a car called the Legends car. And I don't think too many people really thought a whole lot about it one way or the other. And I'm here, we're standing 5 years later, and some 2,000 cars later that have been sold worldwide. And now people are certainly paying attention to what this little company over in Harrisburg, North Carolina is doing called 600 Racing. And we've got some more news to announce with that company here today. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce the president of Charlotte Motor Speedway and 600 Racing and Speedway Motorsports, Mr. Humpy Wheeler. Humpy, come on up.
Like Jerry said, 5 years ago, we announced that the start of a new company that's a subsidiary of Speedway Motorsports, and that is 600 Racing. Since it was the first time that anybody's really tried successfully to mass produce race cars. We started this company with one thing in mind, and that is to produce an inexpensive race car, not only in price, the Legends car, but also in the cost it costs someone to race. Because we hate to see that next Rusty Wallace never be able to get a steering wheel in his hands. And that's happening all over the United States and all over the world today. And that brings to the forefront another reason why we did this, and that is that we've been able to produce a very safe race car using mass assembly techniques. And like Jerry said, we've manufactured over 2,000 Legends cars, and they're not all the way across the United States only. We've got a good concentration of them in the UK and Sweden. Met with in London last week with our European distributor. He thinks he can sell 60 Legends cars this year because of the price. It's qualified for the Royal Auto Club and the German Auto Club and the Swedish Auto Club. A couple of years ago, Fred Stratton came down here, president of Briggs & Stratton, and we were talking about building a car that would be a link between karting and Legends car or entry-level racing. and he had an exciting new engine, a two-cylinder opposed Briggs engine that has done very well for that company. So we started, we said, okay, Fred, you send us the motors, we'll start working on it, and that's what happened. We have been working on this car since then. We think we've got it right. We think it's going to have a tremendous impact on auto racing because of the following reasons. Number one, there's been a tremendous increase in interest by what I call the Pop Warner racers. And I think the man in here that really started this craze of young people wanting to race and racing, particularly in the WKA, is John Bickford, who's, of course, you all know is Jeff Gordon's stepfather, and really programmed Jeff to start racing when he was 4 and kept moving him up very aggressively. So by the time he got to Winston Cup racing, he had a lot of years of experience, and he was able to win to win as many races as he's won at 25 or younger. So we see a lot of this in karting. We see a demand also, though, that's out there for a car that's got a full roll cage and an enclosed-bodied car. So without further ado, I'm going to let you take a look at it, gentlemen. This is the Bandolero.
Man, this is really exciting. I know it's going to be a hit because when you guys open that thing, the first thing Steve says, "Oh man, cool, Dad, can we get one?" He likes the red paint scheme and all that stuff, but this is great. You know, I've been messing around thinking about trying to get a Legends car for my older son, Greg, and he's been bugging me to death about it, but I told him his grades have got to come up in school before we even think about that. So, but Steve's grades are pretty good. I don't think he could fit right in there and do good at it, so this is neat. You know, the Legend cars are great-looking cars. They're a little large, you know, for some of these younger kids, but something like this is really hot. It's a beautiful-looking car. I guess you're going to have different type of body styles maybe later on, but I don't know. I'm pretty partial to that one. That looks pretty darn good, but this is great. I mean, we want a lot of new drivers coming along, and as long as they don't beat me, I'm okay with that. But I'm all for it, man. This is cool, and I think, Jesus, what you guys have started with the Legend cars, I questioned myself a long time ago, but I can't believe what's happened. I can see right now the next Bandolero is going to be a pickup truck, probably, huh? You never know, but they're to be whoever designed this is to be congratulated over because it's an awesome-looking piece, and people got to be able to get something they can afford and not put a lot of maintenance in, not have to work on all the time, but be able to work on it enough that they have some fun doing it. So, neat deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusty, and also want to thank, understand that these cars are going to be produced over at the, and this is an interesting point, those of you who don't know it, the old CB Drug building. CB Drug, unfortunately, went into bankruptcy. We bought it 2 years ago, 48,000 square foot building 2 miles from here over in Harrisburg, and that's where we're building Legends cars. And that's where we're going to be building the Bandolero under the auspices and responsibilities of Dave Stetzer, the general manager of 600 Racing. The rules will be under Todd at NX, which stands for Inexpensive Racing, and Randy Kugler and the World Karting Association. This car will be, we're taking orders on it right now. We can't tell you when you get your first one. I got to put that into perspective because that's what it's all about. We've got a strong dealer network, as we said earlier, across the United States. We signed a Southeastern Asian distributor a couple of months ago. We've got cars in Australia and, of course, in Europe, and we think this thing's going to come right through there.
Well, you'll no doubt want to be the first kid on your block to get involved with one of these bandoleros out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Things continuing to grow by leaps and bounds. Don't forget, AutoFair opens Thursday and runs through the weekend out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Also, the Supercross Classic comes up April the 19th. If you'd like more information, you can give them a call at 455-3200. That's about all the time we've got on this edition of Cabarrus This Week. Don't forget to join us every Wednesday and Friday at 7:30.